What is going on, guys? Sam here, and today I'm going to be doing a review of the 2017 Subaru BRZ. This is with the automatic transmission. This is actually my personal vehicle, which I own and commute to school and work every day with. I've had it for about a year now, and definitely put on more miles than you should in a year due to my daily commute on highways and local roads. I pre-ordered this back in the summer of 2016 when I first heard that Subaru was going to refresh and revise a lot of new features and even the styling of the car. And as soon as I saw the first pictures of it, I knew I had to get it. So I went straight to the dealership and put down my deposit and got pretty much the first one off the truck at that dealership. Couldn't wait. And so I've had the car for about a year now, and here are my thoughts on it. Alright, so starting with the exterior, new for 2017, one of the most obvious updates is the front fascia. Subaru definitely made it look a lot sharper, a lot more aggressive, especially with that black plastic piece in the front. It no longer looks like there's a gaping mouth on the front of the car. It actually fits more into the lines of the car better. On top of that, to go with that, I feel like the headlight housing had a lot to do with it. The headlights to the turn signals and even the boomerang C-shape daytime running lights are all LED, and they also extended the length of the daytime running lights, so that gives the car a much sharper, aggressive look. On the subject of LEDs, the tail lights are also revised, and it's almost as if they took a page out of like the aftermarket and made them glow kind of at night, just like Valentis do, just not as full, I feel like. It's funny because I get many messages on Instagram about my taillights. Some people want to trade, and then other people are asking me where I got them from. I know FT86 Speed Factory sells them, but they come stock on this car. So that's a really nice feature, knowing that a lot of people actually like the new taillights. Also new for the 2017 model, the car comes with new revised standard 17-inch alloy wheels. They definitely look a lot sharper than the previous year model, where it was more rounded off. Actually, this year looks sharper. And for stock wheels, I think they're one of the best stock wheels you can get on a car nowadays. Obviously, you can opt for the 18-inch performance wheels within the performance pack. However, at the time of pre-orders, the performance pack wasn't available just yet. Another upgrade for the 2017 year model is the spoiler. Unlike previous year models where it came with plastic, the spoiler is actually made out of aluminum now. It also has color matching plastic pieces on the side that really give it an aggressive look. It's nice to see Subaru's using more premium materials on this part, and it really finishes off the back end of the car. I think the car's best angle has to be the 3/4 view, and this is where you take full advantage of seeing the lines sweep from the front fascia all the way back and scoop up at the spoiler. It definitely looks aggressive in that stance too. The spoiler, you can't even tell that it's round. It actually looks like it's floating or just at the back of the car, and really suits the car well at that angle. I remember when the FRS and BRZ first came out in 2013. I knew I wanted the look of the FRS, definitely with the sharper front end, but I wanted the interior of the BRZ because it just seemed more modern and not as cheap looking. I knew that was a complaint with the FRS. So I didn't really know which one to pick at the time. Now, after I saw this car and all the new revised features and stuff, I knew I had to get it and was immediately sold because they had made the exterior look pretty much like the FRS or sharper, and they also improved upon the already good interior. Speaking of the interior, for 2017, Subaru's actually gone away from the simplistic, almost pure driver's interior to a more practical approach. It's immediately noticeable when you sit in the car and look down at the steering wheel. It's got buttons on it. In the previous models it didn't, because they claimed that it was a more driver focused car, so you didn't want as many distractions on the wheel. On top of that, the steering wheel buttons actually control things like music, the radio, phone calls, and even this little new 4.2-inch screen right here that's built into the gauge cluster. It can do things like tell you water temperature, oil temperature, even the voltage of the battery being used. Obviously gives you your miles per gallon and miles till empty. It also has some fun features on here, like a power and torque curve chart, where it shows you where you are within the band. On top of that, it has a stopwatch and a G-force meter. Now, some people think that this is kind of tacky. I actually personally like it, and it's actually kind of a selling point for me, as strange as that sounds. I personally prefer digital clusters a lot more. I feel like they're more modern, especially on this car. I like how they integrated it with the digital speedometer, as previous models where the RPM gauge is still in the middle, which reminds you that you are in a sports car, and so you can see when to shift. However, just like previous models as well, the speedometer is still on the left and useless as ever. You can't even get past half circle until you hit 90 miles an hour. For this year, Subarus use more premium models, especially more premium materials, everywhere that your body kind of makes contact with the car. So like your knees right here, where they would normally hit the hard plastic on the center console, actually is covered now by a red stitched and leather padding. So it's nice to see that Subaru's gone this extra step and actually included all these features in the car. Definitely dresses up the inside of the car very nicely. The one gripe that I do have with the interior, however, is that this head unit, the Subaru Starling system or whatever it is, definitely it does not live up to, I guess, where the market is now. I don't know how it is on other Subarus, but it's very laggy. Starts up very slow. On top of that, a lot of times, a lot of my music's playing on Bluetooth. It'll actually cut out and then like lower the volume on its own without me touching it. That may be an issue that I might need to bring into Subaru, but it's been going on for a while now. So that's the only complaint that I have, but overall this is still a very nice cabin. I mean, the speakers really aren't bad for what comes with the car. It's just the head unit itself kind of bothers me. I know a major drawback per se to this car, or a major factor that people think about when buying this car, is the space in it, in terms of buying groceries and stuff. The trunk actually is pretty big. I will admit that the opening is kind of small. I have trouble fitting some bigger boxes in there, especially when I was moving. However, the trunk space is actually maximized by the hydraulics on the trunk lid, instead of having like physical metal arms that swing down and actually take up space in the trunk so that you probably can't close it. They actually integrated these little hydraulics on the side so that it will be out of the way and you'll be able to maximize all the space in the trunk. Another factor that I know that people think about when buying a car like this is the lack of passenger space in the back. I know it's a 2+2, but it's more like a 2+2 people with no legs, because there is zero legroom back there. However, if you move up your seats a little bit, passengers actually can fit in the back. And to my knowledge, it's actually not as bad as people make it out to be. I have friends who are 6 feet tall and we go to car meets all the time together, and they actually don't complain too much from the back seat. On top of that, I was actually looking at cars like the Lexus IS or even the Focus ST, Mazda Speed 3, just kind of getting a gauge for where I want to put my money at the time. I know they're not direct competitors to this car, but a huge factor for me was practicality, because I knew that this was my only car that I had to commute everywhere with, and if I wanted to go out with friends and take someone home or anything, I would have to have more room in my car. But this car definitely isn't as bad as people make it out to be, and the driving style and everything on this car definitely outweighs the loss of almost the 2 half seats in the back. If you didn't notice before, like I said, this is the 2017 model with the automatic transmission. This transmission actually really isn't that bad. I know a lot of cars with automatic flappy paddle gearboxes often are quite laggy, especially with CVT. However, this model on the upshift is really quick, but on the downshift is kind of slow, but it's actually forgivable. Very few times does this car ever feel bogged down. I would say probably 2 or maybe 1 out of every 10 times really does this car feel bogged down. But if you're getting on the higher end, then you just hit the downshift and go. So as I mentioned earlier, the upshift is pretty quick and the downshift is a little bit slow, but I'm going to be demonstrating right now on this little bit of road right here. So I moved the gear selector over to manual. You can either choose the upshift and downshift on this, or you can choose the upshift and downshift on the paddles. For demonstration purposes, I will be upshifting on the paddles, and later on I'll be doing like a downshift, just so you can see how the little bit of lag is. But overall, it's really not that bad. So here we go. And you get that rev limiter that you can set. tell, the upshifts are pretty quick and really smooth. And then now I'm going to demonstrate the downshifts. And then it goes, downshift, and then it goes. So there is a slight delay with it. However, it's actually not that bad. I can understand on the track how that downshift might take too long, but really in day-to-day driving or down like these back roads is actually pretty smooth and really quick. I actually find it fun too to use paddles. It kind of reminds you of like higher tier cars, you know, like Lamborghinis and Audis, how they got their paddle shifters too. Obviously it's not a dual clutch and it's not a PDK from Porsche, but it's still going to be ample fun and it's perfect for this car in my opinion. The 2017 BRZ also gets a revised and updated engine. However, if you opt for the automatic version, which I have done, you do not get that revised engine. You actually get the engine carried over from the 2013 through the 2016 model. And at this point, you're probably wondering, why did you even buy the automatic? I know a lot of people argue and say that the only way to get this car is with the manual. And I do understand that it's an enthusiast car. It's a sports car that you really want to rev out and have full control over. And a manual definitely suits this car very well. But I will have to say though that this automatic, even after your ownership, is not boring in the slightest bit at all. Because of the suspension. As you can tell, suspension is standard across all vehicles, no matter whether you opt for the automatic transmission or the manual transmission. And to help with the handling of this car, Subaru's actually given it McPherson struts as well as double wishbone suspension in the rear. On top of that, the low center of gravity of this car is absurd. The horizontally opposed flat boxer 4 sits kind of towards the back of the engine bay, or I should say towards the middle of the car, and actually very low in the car, which also adds to the good handling of this car. You also sit very low, so you never feel like the car is top heavy or has a lot of roll. And for a stock car, it actually rides really well for a sports car. Normally people complain about their back hurting or potentially hurting. I can see that if I go get springs or coilovers, but as of now, for a stock ride and for how good this handling is, I actually think it rides really well, especially over the bumps and stuff, even on the highway at high speeds. 2017 traction control is also updated. There's this new track mode right here on the right side. This lets you have fun and a little more freedom without letting you kill yourself, but it is definitely a lot less intrusive than the previous year models. I know in the previous models a lot of people were saying how the only way to have fun in this car a lot of the times was to completely turn off the traction control, and you can still do that in this model by holding down the left side with the traction control off button for about 5 seconds, and then you'll see everything blow up. But the track mode and the traction control on this is actually really good. The torsion limited slip differential in combination with the skinny tires that a lot of people joke about that will supposedly come off the Prius add to the fun nature of this car. So I have traction control completely on right now, and as you can tell, this is still gonna squeak. Give it a minute, let this guy pass, and here we go. And that was with traction control all the way on. Definitely a really fun car, even with traction control on. So all these factors added to you turning into a corner with full confidence and knowing that you're going to be able to come out on the other side. And this is a very fun car. Like I said, regardless of the transmission, this car will always be a nice fun car that you want to throw down these back roads right here. Even on a commute to work or school, there's never a dull moment for me. And I mean that in a good way, not in like I'm going to be in an accident kind of way. But every time, whether it be going to the grocery store even, this car will always leave a smile on your face. As you can tell, the sun is going down fairly quickly right now. So this is why I'm going to end today's video. Thank you guys for staying this far into the video and watching my review of the 2017 Subaru BRZ. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what I could do better. After all, this is my first YouTube video, and let me know what you'd like to see in the channel in the future. Until then, I'll see you guys in the next one.